We're live. Good morning, everyone. Here this morning, here in the States, or evening for those of you who live in other parts of the world. I'm Rotor Storm 331. I'm back to doing another guide. As promised, I am going to do a beginner's guide for Hulk. He's pretty much regardably one of the more stronger characters. This guide, of course, is meant for a beginner's guide. I didn't have time to change the title of this, unlike my Iron Man guide, but I will change it when I highlight it. But overall, in addition to doing this, I'm going to be also covering tips and advice for Final Fantasy VI that I'll be doing right after I take a small break after this. And we'll be covering two different guides for that game, for tips and advice for World of Balance and tips and advice for World of Ruin. And anyway, but for right now, we're going to be covering the beginner's guide for Hulk for Marvel superheroes. So, a little brief history about the character in general in comics. Bruce Banner is the alter ego of the Hulk. He became the Hulk as a result of being exposed to gamma radiation after a failed experiment with a gamma bomb that resulted in him being bombarded very heavily to the point that it didn't kill him, but essentially transformed him into this hulking monster. So, by all intents and appearances, Hulk is not very intelligent when he's in this form, and basically goes on rampages. He's pretty much a threat to not only villains, but also heroes as well. Now, around the time this game was made, Hulk was going through the Professor persona, which meant that Banner had full control over Hulk in his actual body when he goes into the Hulk form. And basically, he's actually intelligent and cracks jokes and everything in general. He ended up having to give up that during the fight with the battle with Onslaught, and he had to really regress back to his more savage manner to combat the evil mutant entity. For the most part, the Hulk has pretty much been an endearing part of the Marvel Comics history, and of course he had Planet Hulk, which was mostly getting revenge on the heroes that banished him. Fortunately, he found out later that one of his own allies caused the destruction of his new home, among other things. But since then, the Hulk's been around. Of course, Chao Amandis is now, if I remember correctly, is the current Hulk. So we don't know if Bruce Banner is going to be making a return or anytime soon. But anyway, we're going to be covering the Hulk, so we're going to go ahead and get this beginner's guide out of the way. So Hulk is actually one of the strongest characters in the entire roster. Of course, we have plenty of strong characters to boot from both physical and magic base. Like you also have Juggernaut and Blackheart and Shimura Groth, who's very powerful. You got Magneto, who's just as good, just as powerful, and you got just about every cast is very insanely powerful. But Hulk is pretty much one of the more difficult characters to prioritize for the most part. He is not really a very fast character for the most part, but when you master his dashes, he becomes more of a threat, and he really definitely requires mastering him to master his pressure game, because he can literally go from weak to strong pretty quickly, and that's pretty much his combo game, pretty much for both air and ground. For the most part, the Hulk is pretty much a mix of charge character as well as command character. He kind of falls into the same category as Shimura Groth, because he has another command grab that he can do like him, as well as Spider-Man, and he basically just relies very heavily on his Gamma Charge, which is his bread and butter. And he has two different forms of Gamma Charging, which is basically a forward and an upward move, and that you'll probably see that a whole lot more. So mastering charge techniques is going to be another thing you need to master with the Hulk, in addition to playing your pressure game and learning all of his basics. But technically, Hulk is way loads different in this game. He does have 3 super Mar meters, but only 1 super. His Gamma Charge also acts as his Infinity Counter, and he also has access to the Time Gem, which allows him not only to become more speedy, but he can also get more normals off than you could probably count. So as you can definitely tell, he can like throw mobile attacks with the time gem activated there. So along with Shortgraph, he's the only one that gets a special effect with the time gem. But overall, I think Hulk is probably, in my opinion, probably the more harder characters to master. And he's pretty much ranked low tier. But if you played against Magasol like I did, you can definitely see how powerful this character could be at the right hands. And technically, anyone who's played against Magasol, you'll definitely know that he's probably one of the best Hulk players in the world. But there's probably no doubt others that can play this character very well as well. So kudos to those players that could really play this character and master him to a very high level. I can't really say I could do that myself, of course. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started on Hulk's movement. Now, Hulk is not very fast on his feet walking. He's really more dangerous when it comes to dashing. And like certain characters, you can cancel his dash with his down forward. But you basically want to help him get to his opponents pretty quickly with dashing and then jumping right after that. Because that helps Hulk apply his pressure game, and that also allows him to get pretty close to the opponent, because the Hulk wants to really hit people pretty hard. And for the most part, he's going to be you're going to be doing that a whole lot with high-level play with him. So with Super Jump, he actually has more control over his Super Jump on both your jumping and falling. So this means you can literally set up for cross-ups and home in on your opponent. He's actually one of the few characters that you can really do this with in general. In terms of controlling the way you fall and going up in the air with the Super Jump. So overall, Hulk's real game with his movement is to utilize dashing. He's very good for cross-up tricks with his Super Jump, and he can basically cover pretty good amount of ground with over that. Just don't really rely so much on walking, though. So anyway, that covers his movement. We're going to go ahead and cover his normals. So we'll start off with his light punch, which is basically a standard jab. This is his crouching light jab. That actually comes out pretty fast, for the most part. And that can be linked into any of his other punches. And this is his jumping jab. So now we're going to show the damage for each of these attacks. So there's no unique command for the light button, so we'll go into his medium punch. So medium punch actually has a pretty good massive swing like this right here. And he does the same thing on crouching. With jumping, though, that requires him doing a headbutt. So that actually will be very good during air combos, for the most part. So now we're going to show you the damage for all these attacks up close. And now we're going to move on to the heavy punches. So, wrong button. Anyway, so this is his heavy punch. This basically allows him to do a massive haymaker while standing. Comes out pretty slow. This is his crouching heavy, which also acts as his air combo. And that can hit twice, by the way, on connect. And this is his heavy punch on air. You can actually stop Hulk from falling any further during a normal jump. So if they're going to get ready to do an attack or whatever, you can do this to keep Hulk stationed a little bit longer and stop him from moving forward. That actually serves as a good air combo ender, by the way. So now we're going to show each of these attacks for damage. So Hulk has no unique commands from the Fierce Punch, so we're going to go ahead and cover his kicks, starting with the light kick. So the light kick is actually way faster. This is pretty much going to be Hulk's primary offense tool in just about everything from ground combos, crouching, to air combos. So you're going to be using this quite a lot in general. His crouching one is not nearly as fast as his standing, but it's still pretty decent. It also serves as good poke. And you can also do this in air as well. Actually, it still has the same air animation as well as ground and crouching. So we're going to show you the damage up close for standing, crouching, in here. So that covers the light kicks. So now we're going to cover the medium kicks. So this is Hulk's medium kick. This comes out pretty fast, and it can be easily linked up after a light kick. And this can be comboed right after a gamma grip too. And you can also do that with gamma ground gamma charge, like that too. So that actually allows him to connect pretty easily. And you can also do this with gamma slam as well. So if you want to change specials after the medium kick, this is actually a pretty good button to use with the Hulk. All right, let's put our Hulk over here, and then we'll position our character over here so we can cover his jump kicks. Now we can go over and cover the damage for the attacks. That's jumping, crouching, and standing. So there's no unique commands for the medium kick. So we're going to go ahead and cover his heavy kick last. So this is his heavy kick. This does have some potential for an air combo, but you're better off doing the down heavy punch instead. So this is his standing heavy kick. This is his crouching heavy kick, which basically allows him to knock opponents back a bit. And this is his jumping heavy kick, which actually acts as a very good ender, as well as comboing right after a light kick connect. So we're going to now display those attacks up close. And this does very heavy stun, by the way, with the heavy kicks, by the way. So it actually deals pretty high damage. So unfortunately, none of these have any unique commands for the heavy kicks. So that covers the normals. Not much to say about that. So now we're going to go ahead and cover the throws next. So most of Hulk's throws are going to be geared towards his punches. He has no kick throws. So they pretty much do the same thing, of course. So this is a medium, and this is exactly the same thing with heavy as well. And this is his aerial throw that can also be done with both heavy and medium. So not much to say about the throws in general. They're pretty self-explanatory, but they deal pretty high damage overall. And then again, Hulk is all about damage in the end. So that covers all of his throws. So we're going to go straight into specials. So the first one we're going to probably cover on this is Gamma Lift. You probably won't see this get used a lot, but this is actually one of Hulk's two projectile techniques. But unlike Gamma Slam, where he throws it immediately, Hulk will pick up the item, the terrain off the ground, and he'll hold it in the air as long as you don't press any buttons. Now, depending on your punch, this also affects the damage, as well as trajectory. If you do it with punches, it'll get thrown at the opponent at a slight 45-degree angle. With kicks, he'll throw it at a different angle. And each one's going to be different than the last, So basically with the punch, you always throw them at your opponents, but the kicks are different because you throw them either at the enemy or throw them in the air instead. Technically, you will not see this move get used a lot in actual matches, but this can also be used as a pretty good trip tool if you're up close against opponents. That can also work with Gamma Slam too, as well. And speaking of Gamma Slam, we'll cover that next. So with Gamma Slam, you'll basically want to use half-quarter circle front in any punches. Depending on the punch you use, this affects the debris that he picks up too. Technically, you pick up very little and deal the least amount of damage with the light version. You pick up a little bit more with the medium version, and that does a little bit more damage. And of course, with the heavy version, you deal the most damage, and that throws the largest amount of mass on your opponent. And just like Gamma Lift, you can also use Gamma Slam up close to trip your opponents. Just like this. But yeah, most of your opponents will see the Gamma Slam come right at them. So if you want to play mind games, you can alternate between Gamma Lift and Gamma Slam. So that'll get them guessing as to whether or not you're literally going for it. Keep in mind that with the Gamma Lift, you can literally jump with Gamma Lift. So, and that also affects trajectory based on which button you press with Gamma Lift. But overall, Gamma Slam is pretty easy to spot, but you can also use that as a tripping tool just like Gamma Lift. So the next special we're going to cover is, of course, both Gamma Charge Ground and Gamma Charge Rising. So, of course, like Shumagroth, he's also a Charger, and he's the only character in the entire game that has a down to up charge move. And, of course, depending on the strength of your charge button you press, also affects as to how far the Hulk will move and how far he'll go. Now, believe it or not, when you do Gamma Charges, after you hit the opponent, depending on the direction you press after that and the kick, this also affects gives the Hulk the ability to do another Gamma Charge right afterwards. So basically what the computer does most of the time is that it goes forward, then does the upward right or left depending on the direction the opponent's flying to get an easy two-hit combo going. And you can also do this with uprising Gamma Charge, but that requires some requires a little bit more practice and charging, of course. But overall, the Gamma Charge is going to be the Hulk's primary offense tool for the most part, and you'll definitely want to master it. Of course, you want to master the different strengths because you do not want to be if your opponents do block the Gamma Charge, you will be left open to be attacked. That also and of course, Gamma Charge Rising can also be as an effective air tool as well as a follow-up right after that. And then, of course, the final special move that Hulk has is, of course, Gamma Grip. So, or as it's called, I'm surprised that's Gamma Tornado. Some call it Gamma Grip, but it's actually called Gamma Tornado. So Gamma Tornado is basically Hulk's special grab command. And depending on the strength of your punch, it'll either come out fast or comes out much slower. So I think the damage is regardless. But I think it actually affects as to how much damage you deal. So depending on the strength, it affects as to how long the Hulk is going to hold the opponent, as well as the amount of damage you deal. Now, I don't know if you can rotate the stick or D-pad to get more spins. Yeah, that actually added up more spins in general. But technically, you can also chain that off of... you can actually do that in a combo, depending on the strength that you perform it, of course. Of course, you have to be fast on the uptake, because it is very hard to get it to combo. I don't think the light one can be chained. Actually, no, that can be chained, of course. But you gotta be very fast on it if you want to chain it into a combo, because it is pretty easy to lose it. And that can be done with either his punches and kicks, of course. So anyway, that covers Gamma Tornado. We're also gonna finish up the last of the guide with his super moves, and that of course is his only one, Gamma Crush. So basically, when Hulk performs Gamma Crush, he'll jump in the air and he'll crush the opponent with a meteor. Now, this can be done up close to get a free two-hit combo off of that. Now, unfortunately, this can be... It can actually have some potential for combos, but most of the time you probably won't get that off of. It's very hard to get off my Gamma Crush from any of the combos, but technically if you're quick enough, you can actually do this to get some more damage. Of course, you want to do it up close when the opponent's either trying to jump at you or if they come way too close for comfort. But technically, in later games, the Gamma Crush becomes more of a flaming meteor and adds a few more hits into the effect. But you always want to use Gamma Crush as your anti-air super, as well as punish any dasher that's crazy enough to come right at you. For the most part, with Gamma Crush, basically you want to use that for the most part as part of defense. Now, one problem about Gamma Crush is that if you do this and your opponent starts either dashing or moving forward, that move will miss because when you make your descent from Gamma Crush, it locks onto your opponent's current position. So basically, when the Hulk performs Gamma Crush, he'll jump in the air and he'll dive basically wherever your opponent is. So if they try to dash out of the way and get out of safety, they'll avoid the hit for the most part. So you have to be careful when using Gamma Crush. So if that second hit does not connect and they are fast enough to recuperate and get the heck out of the way, they can easily avoid getting hit with the second hit of Gamma Crush. So keep that in mind. Blackheart can easily teleport out of there thanks to his dash. So if you try performing that move against him and the player decides to do a small dash to get out of the way, you're just going to be left wide open with that open up. But overall, the Gamma Crush is actually a pretty powerful tool when used properly. So anyway, that covers my guide for the Hulk. I hope this helps players get into playing Marvel superheroes. Again, this is mostly geared for beginners and to learn mostly the basics. There are no doubt combo videos and whatnot if you want to learn more about that, but I'm trying to get these guides out so that anyone that has never played fighting games before or not been around in the 90s when all these games came out, I'm hoping this will help as a door for them to get into it. And hopefully they'll get more out of it than I did, for the most part. But anyway, I hope this guide helps out, and I will see you all next time for Magneto. He'll be the next one we'll cover, and then Spider-Man and Wolverine will be the last ones we'll close with beginner's guides. So I'll probably have Magneto's guide set up eventually sometime later in the week. But anyway, I'm going to take a small break, get some water, and then when we get back, we're going to cover Final Fantasy VI tips and advice for World of Balance. So I will catch you all in a minute. So hang tight, I'll be right back.